Hi there. It's time to look at gaming and meme coins through the Wyckoff lens and see where the prices may be heading. And if you're new to my sessions, here are the 3 key items I'll cover during the session. And this is a speed run session, so I'll go very quick across these 18 meme and gaming coins. The red one, and that's game, is still in distribution cycle. The orange ones are the ones in the early accumulation, and the yellow ones are the ones that are at mid-late stage of accumulation. Why there are no green? Because nothing is risk-free, okay? Especially in crypto. Crypto by itself is already a high-risk investment. So let's get started with the very first chart, the Undead Games. This is the weekly chart of Undead Games, and this is where it is. It just passed the second test stage. Currently, it's finding support above the 2.3 line, light blue key level, 2.39. And just one thing I want to quickly set, because it's blocking the... This should work. Sorry. No, this one. So this one, I'll change it later. I just want to change something else, but never mind. Okay, so here, the next step would be getting to a sign of weakness, meaning the level that it challenged just this week, 2.08, but it may close lower than that level. So much like what happened during the automatic reaction when it drops down from the buying climax. When we refer to the past, what happened back in September 2024? All right, it climbed to the highest point, or close at the highest point at around July. It tested way higher, higher than the current buying climax, but then quickly closed to a very low level. So that period lasted for about 8 to 10 weeks. Currently, we are roughly about 4 weeks in, counting from the buying climax. So the key thing over here is that once it's done, it quickly fell into the accumulation. It did not have much of a rebound on the way. This time, let's hope it's better, because during this period there are quite some trading activities. So even if it drops below the red key level of 1.6, there are multiple levels below. When that happens, I'll start developing or extending the key level so we have better reference. So let's go to the daily chart. It's still going along this uptrend, the ascending trend. So this air hockey table, I name it, where you see the price bounces between the two edges, as well as sometimes along the center line. So like what it did just a week ago. What's happening here is that it tested twice the bottom of this table, and currently there are 3 dates that are potentially trend change confirmation occasions. So the very first one, December 27th, that's where the green key level is at around 2.26, and then we've got the light blue key level of 2.39, and then obviously the 2.61 blue key level that points to January 22nd. What it means over here is that when the price continues to trade along these levels, this December 27th is a less likely scenario, because the price has to drop back below the 2.26 and travel along this triangle, this tip of the triangle, to confirm whether it's going to get rejected by the green line and fall outside of the uptrend, or is it going to bounce from the bottom edge of the trend and come back up. All right, similar sense, that's for the case for the light blue key level as well as the blue key level. Those points to different dates, and we're not too far from those dates. So be careful when the price trend changes. All right, the volume is still kind of average as of now. Today is like the bulls and the bears are undecided, basically. You know, they're finding a middle ground around the light blue key level of 2.39. Next, XE Infinity, AXS. So the big picture is still trying to seek the selling climax. Okay, is in the early accumulation stage. We have transited from the distribution ones to the early accumulation ones. So what to expect is after the selling climax appeared, we would have an automatic rally. But then there may be more tests coming back to the lower levels afterwards. This is the weekly chart, and for those to happen, it's probably going to take a couple of weeks at least, okay? Sometimes it takes months. In the daily chart, we see that, you know, XE is still going through the downtrend, and similarly, 6th of January, 20th of Jan, and 6th of February are the dates that will get potential trend change. Just that XE is trading along the stronger side of the channel as of this moment. So it's probably going to get to these points easier compared to, you know, trading along the weaker side. All right, so that's XE, and the next is BONK. For BONK, same thing, early stage of accumulation, still, you know, figuring out where the selling climax would be, and October 10th actually landed all the way towards the red key level of 40. I'm skipping the 5 leading zeros over here. It's still a young coin, so I said a lot of times, for coins that are less than 2 years old, or just about 2 years old, their price profiles have basically are still pretty unstable. They can go very deep when the macro environment isn't supportive, okay? So after that, obviously the automatic rally and subsequent tests. Same thing for this entire group that are in the early stage of accumulation. All right. Daily chart. December 23rd was supposed to be the date that if the sideways trading continues, it has the opportunity to confirm. We still have about 2 days before that date comes in. So nothing is going to stop it to bounce up high and get to that point. But the volume for the previous 2 white days, these 2 white candles, the volume wasn't really high. So it's less likely for that to happen by 23rd. There's a chance, but just not high. And what if it continues to travel along this downtrend? All right, it's pointing towards the 4th of February. You know, that's the other trend change confirmation opportunity. October 10th, obviously, I already mentioned, tested the red key level, so it's not surprising for this test to come down to test this level as well. Just gonna set the center line for this box. Remember, the center line doesn't have to be exactly cutting the box in half. It's basically helping us to visualize where the most dense candle activities are lying around or within the box itself. Besides bouncing off between the 2 edges, the center line is somewhere. A lot of times the price would bounce, bounce up or get rejected as well. All right. Next is breadth. Breadth, similarly, it's around the selling climax, but just that it's got quite a bit of buying over the past 3-4 weeks. Last week was a bit of slight rejection, but the volume last week and this week, you see it's pretty low. So it's, I would consider that's a relatively good sign that it's not going crazily down, at least. So we are hoping to see the automatic rally sooner in the case of bread compared to XE and BONK. So testing period will continue after the automatic rally. Sometimes it goes very quickly, come down even halfway, not all the way to somewhere near the selling climax, and then it shot up. sometimes you would see this kind of scenario. It all depends on timing. When the entire market goes up, when capital comes in, if a particular coin is lagging behind the others in terms of their stages in a particular cycle, obviously they'll break out of the cycle sooner. Daily charts currently pointing towards 9th of January. That's the point where the ceiling of the downtrend crosses the red key level of 1 cent 06. There is a chance that it breaks out sooner, around the 1st of Jan. So if it happens right there, that's pointing to 1st of Jan. So somewhere around New Year's Eve or the beginning of 2026, if the price continues to stay above this horizontal dashed line, all right, the chance is there. Okay, currently it seems like it's still staying there. So first trend change opportunity comes in beginning of 2026, and then the other one comes a week later, roughly. All right, there are no lower points that in the history of bread, but don't get shocked if it does come down, because it's still young, like I said in the very beginning. Next, Dogecoin. Dogecoin going through not even seeing the selling climax probably. It's still around the somewhere between the preliminary support and the selling climax. So it's getting close, but not there yet. Last time the selling climax landed around the, it's very dense over here. Okay, this is how it looks like. It landed around the red key level of 0.0964. All right, currently we're still 2 key levels above it. October 10th definitely tested that level again. So you know what to expect next in terms of the Wyckoff cycle. In the daily chart, still managed to trade above the center line, meaning on the stronger half of the box. Just that it got suppressed by this horizontal dash line as of this moment. That was the support 2-3 weeks ago, okay, during this time. Now you see it becomes resistance. So here, the dates that these trades are pointing to, which December 29th is less likely, like I already described, it's being suppressed by this line currently. So breaking this dash line and breaking the green key level of 14 cents 06 at the same time within a short period, that needs some very good news to bring Doge. Maybe, I don't know, Elon posted something that triggers a pump, or something else that's good news for Doge. If not, the more likely scenarios would be the price continue to trade somewhere around the yellow key level of 12 cents 45. It can go down to 11 cents 12, the orange key level. That leads to those 2 dates, the January 13th and January 25th. All right. However, like I said, October 10th tested the red key level. It can also come down to there, but it's over a month from that point. So next time when we come back, or the week after when we come back to visit Doge again, we can take a look and see whether we need that particular indication of what date that is. Now we have FLOKI. FLOKI, again, seeking the selling climax, where it should land. Currently it's still going on, and these subsequent stages you already know. So when we go to the daily chart, again, similar to Doge, trying to stay on the stronger side or stronger half of the air hockey table. This dash line will be a short-term resistance as of now. That's where it's been supporting the trade over the past 2 weeks. Very similar to Doge. Okay, indicative dates of trend change, potential trend change, okay? 4 dates in total, corresponding to 4 different key levels, from red, orange, yellow to green. The green key level corresponds to 18th of Jan, so meaning this triangle over here. And then we have 30th of Jan, then Valentine's Day, very romantic if it breaks out over there, and eventually 9th of March. Alright, that's FLOKI. And then we have MANA, Decentraland. Decentraland, very sharp drop over the past couple of weeks. The volume has come down and it has basically reached or breached the level that October 10th tested, the orange key level of 12 cents 22. The red key level of 0.066 is, referencing what happened back in 2020. All right, obviously there is intermediate levels over there, somewhere around 0.09, or you can treat it as around 10 cents. So when it really comes down, we can take a look at that. So we don't hope to see it comes down to test the red, but it certainly looks like the possibility is there. Looking at the daily chart, it's still trading at the weaker side of the trend. Okay, you see this light blue air hockey table or the trend channel. It's trying to stay above the orange key level we already talked about. Looking at the volume, if it continues to come down, especially on the red days, that's a positive sign. So hopefully it gradually edge along the orange key level and eventually reach the breakout opportunity. So the first one points to 25th of January. The second, if it does come down to challenge the red key level, that's going to be 28th of Feb. Alright, next is PEPE. PEPE, silent climax may be near, just that similarly to the earlier ones, not the case of Decentraland, that it still hasn't reached the point of where October 10th tested, which it can. So that's pointing towards the yellow key level of 2815 with 5 leading zeros, okay? If we look into the history of PEPE, again, it's still pretty young, 2.5 years. If you discount the initial period, if you come from where it started, it's not even 2 years old. So when it first started back in 2023, it was trading between the red key level and the orange key level. That's around 794 to 1590. Okay? Going to the daily chart. Currently it's trading on the stronger half of the downward channel. And this triangle, the very first one above the green key level of 3935, points to the end of the year. And then if it does come down like what it did just on Thursday and stays above the yellow key level of 2815, that trend change confirmation opportunity comes around 19th of Jan. And if it comes further down, that's going to be mid-Feb, somewhere around mid-Feb. So that's the picture for PEPE. And next is PENGU. So this cute little penguin, again, still seeking the selling climax. Where should it be located? It's transiting between the preliminary support to the selling climax. The automatic rally and the subsequent test will come later. And in terms of the daily, it's trading on the stronger side of the downward channel, the air hockey table, and currently pointing or getting very close to 3 points. The one on the top is less likely, basically tomorrow, and currently is still underneath the green key level of 0.0101. But I still have to let you know because the candlestick hasn't passed that point yet. It can still pump up all of a sudden and break out from that point. Next is about a week later, right after Christmas. Okay, if it finds support along this yellow key level of 0.00585, then it will get to that point. However, if it decides to come to challenge where the October 10th tested, that means the orange key level of 0.0055, the trend change confirmation would come around January 9th. All right. Next, we move on to SAND. SAND, same thing, getting close to selling climax, not decided yet. And October 10th obviously went to 2 levels lower than where the price is now. Currently is staying around the yellow key level of 12 cents 60. October 10th challenged the red key level of 5 cents 18. So that's also where the ceiling of the trading range back in 2020, late 2020, all the way into early 2000 or beginning of 2021 was. Okay, that's where the red key level came from. Daily charts, trading, you know it when you see this, on the weaker side of the channel. All right, meaning if it wants to come to these breakout opportunities or trend change confirmation opportunities, if it wants to grab it, it has to go to the right hand side, the stronger side of the channel. Like I said just now, I'm keeping this here even though the chance is less likely, but the date hasn't passed yet, so there's still a chance for it to come up. That points to right after Christmas. What if it doesn't? What if it stays below the current key level, yellow key level of 12 cents 60? Then we have to wait till March, unfortunately, if it stays between the orange and the yellow. But if it climbs above the yellow just to stay below the ceiling of the downtrend, that leads us to somewhere near the end of January. So 3 different scenarios. All right, that's for SAND. And now we have SHIB, Shiba Inu. Again, this week, volume higher than the past 3 weeks, and it's a red candle, so that's not an optimistic signal. Okay, it means it's still coming down to test where the October 10th tested. That's the red key level of 681 with 5 leading zeros. And if we look to the left, it happened back in 2023 as well, and 2023 actually went way lower to 4552. Okay, it's actually even lower than what happened back in 2021. So let's hope SHIB doesn't go further below the red key level. And when we look at the daily chart, unfortunately 4 days ago, on the 17th, Wednesday, it came down to below the orange key level and the center line of the downtrend, meaning it's now trading at the weaker half of the box. And those days, especially the first day, it came down with a pretty high volume compared to the past 14-20 days. Yesterday's white candle with that volume was a bit of relief, but yesterday it kind of like it's undecided. The bulls and the bears are exchanging hands with a very short candle, but a pretty I wouldn't say high, above average, clearly, volume. Today, volume lower, the bar shorter, but it's also weekend, it's Sunday, so I'm a bit cautious and suspicious about weekend volume and the price actions. So again, let's hope that SHIB stays above the red and start to trade sideways. If that happens, it eventually will lead to the 9th of February date, where a potential trend change confirmation would come in. However, if you ask, like looking at where it is, if this is where the selling climax is and it starts to head to the automatic rally, whether it's going to challenge the green key level or just the yellow, it doesn't matter. The key is that it's going to go to the north. Alright, that means the current situation, best case, is pointing towards the 6th of Jan to show us a trend change confirmation, like exiting the downtrend. If not, if it just stays above the orange key level of 760, then it will give us a trend change confirmation by 20th of Jan. Otherwise it will get rejection and come back to the current range. All right. Next, dog with a hat with. It seems like it's building a bottom. Okay, it seems like it is. Look at what happened over here. Not too long ago, it's just March back then, after the preliminary support stage. It's got this period, came down second, and then the selling climax. Okay, this period, second time, maybe it will come down a little bit further, and then the selling climax would appear. Okay, if it really copies that kind of pattern. Not that every time it has to happen the same way. Just showing you what happened just half a year ago, or like 9 months ago. So similar thing for all these that are at the early stage of accumulation. We'll soon move to the late stage group. Daily chart, trading on the stronger side of the channel, and these days, if these intermediate levels, these white dashed lines, are providing support, not only this is the recent support level. If we go to the left, that's where the April selling climax landed as well. All right, obviously, early dates back in the first quarter of 2024, that was a period with quite frequent trading over there as well. So this level may have a chance, and that points to the 23rd of January. Next is 1st of March, like getting into the end of the first quarter, near the end of the first quarter. If it really comes down to challenge somewhere near the October 10th as tested, if it really decides to come to this point 145 red key level, that points to the end of March. That's where the trend change confirmation would finally appear. Okay, now let's move to the ones that are at least the mid stage of accumulation cycle. So they have passed through the selling climax, showed automatic rally, now coming down for a deeper test. All right. In this case for APE, it's obviously trying to head towards where the October 10th tested. Not only October 10th, even March this year came to this red key level of 11 cents. Look to the history of this young APE track record. There isn't much that we can take reference other than this very key 11 cents red key level. Alright, so again, during the test period, we're still waiting to see the advance with volume where the sign of strength stage is. So red candlesticks over and then turn to white candlesticks. Not only white candlesticks, but with higher volume. That's the best sign we would hope for. Daily chart, trading at the weaker half of the channel. Potential breakout confirmation comes. Yeah, unfortunately in April, if it really is coming down to test the red key level where the October 10th tested. This horizontal line that was a like short-term support for last week or like even the week before, but then Monday this week confirmed that this one no longer works for APE, but then we have to keep it there because it now turns to a resistant line. Okay, so even if it travels towards the stronger side, it may get rejection from that point. All right, so that's APE. Next, FARTCOIN. FARTCOIN over here is just past the automatic rally stage, not very deep into the testing, not like APE. So expect more tests to come. Whether the price comes down to the red key level of 175 or it just travels along the orange key level, range bound between the yellow and the red. Yellow is 0.446. That's totally fine. All right. the selling climax already tested the level October 10th tested, so that's I'm not sure whether you consider that relieving. Back in March and also November 2024, the red key level is the level where those two periods also tested in addition to March this year. Okay, let's hope the price doesn't come down for a test so low that it reaches the level where the October 2024, and that was the level back then. We don't hope to see that happen. The uptrend that we previously said, or last week I said, is confirmed over. I said that by December 21st we'll get the answer, and indeed 2 days ago, no sorry, not 2 days ago, 5 days ago, we get the confirmation. On the 15th, it dropped outside of that very short-term uptrend. This line over here was the hint. Okay, it has been building clear resistance around that level of 0.385. So what now then? It looks to me is I'm just trying to test the bigger downtrend may still be in play. Alright, assuming that this is the case, that this downtrend is not over yet. So it's currently edging very close towards the ceiling of the downtrend. Alright, so where does this point to? If this triangle is formed by the red key level as well as the ceiling of this trend box that we just drawn. So here, that's pointing towards the 12th of January. So we'll get another chance of trend change confirmation in about 3 weeks-ish time. Alright, that's for FARTCOIN. Now we have GALA. GALA continuing its test, checking out paper hands. The volume has come down over the past 3-4 weeks. However, it's still long wicks from the top last week, and this week is still being rejected from the orange key level of 0.0068. So when we look into the daily chart, obviously it's still trading along the weaker half of the channel. If it gathers strength to come back to above the orange key level that we just talked about, it will trade along this triangle, and that points to January 20th. Okay, if it doesn't, if it continues to go challenged or go drop to the level where the October 10th tested, that's the red key level of 0.00259, that points to the end of March, the end of first quarter of 2026, before a clear trend change confirmation would come. Because if you look to the history, look in the history of GALA, since 2021, there are no points that are no price points that are so low at this level that we can take a reference. Obviously, it can start to build a bottom around the, somewhere in the middle between the red and orange key level, but we have to wait for that to happen to decide whether we can draw a line over there when that happens. Okay, next, immutable X, IMX. IMX, again, for a deep test, already reached the level that October 10th tested, the red key level of 20 cents, 22 cents, 2 to 1 basically, 0.221. So that's where it is. Again, even as early as 2021, no price reference at this low level. Daily chart. It points to January 20th if it stays above this red key level. So 2 days ago, it climbed from lower than the red key level, but the volume wasn't really that high. So this current level that it is at is still a bit shaky. Okay, so let's hope that it stays above the red key level and travels along this triangle and confirms that it's breaking outside of this downtrend by the second fortnight of January. Then we've got XPX 6900, I think, and that's its name. So this one has gone through the automatic rally already and just coming down for more tests. In terms of the daily chart, we see that that is a normal sideways trading is happening. So it's between the red key level of 0.394, that's where the October 10th tested also, and likewise for the accumulation period back in 2025 March all the way into May. Okay, just this year, earlier this year. And the top of the range, it's around the light blue key level of 0.782. Okay, so that's where we are now. If we look at here, that's where the automatic rally ended up close to, and that sets the accumulation cycle trading range top. And we have WEMIX. So WEMIX, similarly, actually, it went even deeper. It had its sign of strength already, just that it's coming down for more tests. Okay, it had a deep test, that went way lower than the selling climax, and now it has another round of tests that's heading towards the red key level of 19 cents. Currently, it's trying to stay above the orange key level of 0.363. Okay, last week, this week, we both see wicks from the bottom pushing the price back to above the orange key level. The volume has clearly come down as well, so that's a relieving sign, at least for the short term. Daily chart is still trading along the weaker half of the channel. However, the behavior that we're seeing is a bit encouraging, just that we need to see more white candles with long white bars, like what happened back in end of November. Alright, if those don't come back and it continues, then it will stay at the lower half of the channel, and it will take longer and longer all the way into mid-March or mid-May before a trend change confirmation would come. There is an intermediate level between the red and orange. That date points to around end of March. So when the time comes, we can take a deeper look at WEMIX and see where it's actually heading. So, thanks for joining me in this speedrun session. I'll continue to improve, and hopefully we'll be able to cover a lot of other projects that you have requested but haven't appeared yet. So when I speed these up and these sessions run smoother, I'll be able to cover more. And also, when I introduce the membership, I'll find other ways that even if I can't cover in a video, I can share with you the charts that I have charted. So in that case, we don't have to run other sessions. So thanks for joining, and see